Alright, so I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. Alright, this is Diesel We the People News. One more time, right at it again. Alright, not attorney, not giving any advice. It's just opinion only. Educational, people, educational, okay? We never, ever just look straight forward. We always look around us, be able to protect ourselves by any means necessary, okay? Which I thought this was genuinely interesting, okay? If you want to see the whole thing, because I'm not going to show it, it's about 30 minutes long. All right, there you go. Okay. The key aspect of this, okay, is this code right here, 26 USC, right? Plaintiff, okay, non-resident, alien, okay. Now that being said, PS 38, all right, foreign, political, okay. Attorneys, all officers, all government in body is supposed to actually file a foreign registration of 1933 Act, 1938. Okay. Now I have to go back. It's either 1933 or 1938, which I believe is 1938, Foreign Registration Act, and anti-bravery statement. Okay. Every single one is supposed to do it. They're not doing it. All right. So we talk about breaking laws, but they're still breaking the law. All right, Randy Kelton suing judges here in the state of Texas. Why? Because police, prosecutors, and judges were all involved in breaking laws in the state of Texas by Texas law. All right, now, that being said, I am partially informed. I am researching the codes he has brought up, but I'm slowly reading it, slowly defining it, because I don't like to go by hearsay. When you ask attorneys questions, you don't research it, you are going by hearsay. When you ask officers questions, you don't research it, you're going by hearsay. All right? Let's get these things on your own. People every day are starting to study law to, well, they call it represent themselves. I call it in standing as oneself. Okay? It's the trickery words. And I'm going off on a tangent because we talk about, on YouTube, the people calling out sovereign citizens, but the whole court system that we're supposed to have due process going through, all right, the Justice Revolution, Alphonse, Big Sib, they're all fighting these things in a normal lawyer capacity, and still judges are acting outside the box, out of the four corners. Okay, they're violating their own rules because we are supposed to be ignorant of the law, and they are led to believe we are because we tacitly agreed that we are ignorant of the law because we keep on walking around in hearsay. We just always walk around and stay in silent class lessons and tacitly agree to everything. All right, I told you before in other videos, before even Randy Kelton, right? They're supposed to take you to the magistrate. I didn't know how they was bypassing all that because innocent people are not supposed to go to jail. How is that? Okay? And I told you guys, if you get pulled over by the cops or whatever, get arrested, tell the officer, the arresting officer, of whatever it is, to take you directly to the magistrate. 3 times minimum. Now that puts the liability on the officer, and the officer is easier to sue than the judges. But thank God Randy Kelton's going after the judges. All right? But we got to give them notice. All right? Just like, oh hell, I can't think of his name now. Anyway, let's proceed forward on this because, again, we're going in a little bit of the words, and we'll stop here in a second.
Two, it's Tom, back with another one for you. This one is a continuation of the book, Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. This is a pretty good book. We got like 1 or 2 more videos on this, and then we're gonna get into A4V, accepted for value, and things like that. I'm gonna run back over all that stuff to refresh everyone of how to use your exemption and all that. We're gonna get into that in the next couple of videos. Right here, we're gonna talk about the IRS con game is exposed. So that's the name of this particular section of the book. And so we'll get into United States Code 26, the word person, things like that, and what the legal definition of all those things are. All right. So right here, the IRS con game is exposed.
Okay.
For a good many years, I have heard patriots and tax evaders of all stripes argue that they were not the subject of tax for as many reasons as I have hairs on my head. Not many truly understood the proper argument, and most invariably lose their vigilant fights, winding up in federal prison, primarily because their arguments were not focused and were in the most part devoid of logic. And that's another big thing too, is that people just go in there and argue with the IRS as if they even approached you to begin with. You got to understand that you're the one entering into contracts with these people. So when they send you a letter, which is really an offer, you still have options at that point. You're not really subject to stay engaged in any contracts that you don't feel are for your benefit, because that's really what these people are supposed to be there for. They're not your fucking bosses. They're public servants. So if you expect to get directions from a public servant of how you should operate, imagine that. So this chapter, titled Mirrors of Illusions Broken, concerns the taxing power of the United States and the average citizen's relationship to the federal government. Read carefully and follow the logic, as well as the supporting statutes and case law. They have all the same reoccurring themes and are all supportive of the American people. If this is the only chapter in the book that you remember, your life will be changed forever. The following chapter is a memorandum of law. I did not make any changes, so it may not fit your particular situation to a T, but in general, the sum and substance is the same for all of us. So here we have a non-resident alien. So plaintiffs in the above entitled action are non-resident aliens with respect to the United States, as those terms are defined in Title 26 U.S.C. and have no income effectively connected to a trade or business within the United States or any source of income derived from any excise taxable event. Plaintiffs are...
Okay, now, excise, right? Excise is still for businesses. It's not for the people. It's not for your private property, your house, right? It's the trickery of words they're using. I looked up my property tax in my county, and it says non-resident and resident, right? But both definitions, when you went and looked up the definition that my county used, right, it still did not apply to me. How can I be not a resident and a resident? But according to their definition, I was neither one. So we just assumed, all right? We assumed it applied to us because they told us. We didn't look it up. We didn't understand the definition. All right? So even when it said non-resident, when you look at the words and you sit there and think about you being a man and not really being a person, which is some form of commercial capacity, right? Well, that's what a non-resident is, some form of commercial capacity, and a resident, some form of commercial capacity. So that being said, I'm not an attorney, I'm not giving legal advice. Do your own research. Look up the definition for your own. Quit going by hearsay. Even me. Do your own research, people.
Not withholding agents, government employees, or elected officials. Defendant's revenue officer's name. So this is like a letter to the district manager of the Internal Revenue Service. So the district director are Internal Revenue employees. It appears from documentary evidence that the Internal Revenue agents, etc., are agents of a foreign principal. Within the meaning and the intent of the Foreign Agents Registration Act of 1938, they are directed and controlled by the corporate governor of the quote unquote the fund, aka Secretary of the Treasury.
Okay, Secretary of State, right? Every government body is supposed to fill out a Foreign Registration Act, an anti-bribery statement. All right, supposed to go to the Secretary of State. It's supposed to be filed. That is their code. That is their law. All right, they supposed to do this all the way down to the sheriff and the city cops. Every one of them are supposed to do this. Why they're supposed to do it is in a little bit more great details, but it's basically because of the commercial municipalities, all right, they're corporations, and that's why. All right, the Republic didn't have to if you stayed in that venue.
And the corporate governor of the banks, said agents acting as information service employees and have been and do now solicit, collect, disperse, or dispense contributions, tax, pecuniary contribution, loan money, or other things of value for or in the interest of such foreign principal. And they
just that words right there cover so much stuff, right? Just so much of it. Just what he just basically said, what I basically said. But in general, that's what they're all supposed to do. Beyond a shadow of a doubt that I know of, every government body is supposed to fill one out.
Entered into agreements with a foreign principal pursuant to Treasury Delegation Order Number 91, i.e. the Agency for International Development, Exhibit Number, Internal Revenue Service. So hang on, let me write this down.
All right. So he'll read this to you. I'm going to stop here and you can kind of read this and get the basics on it. Why do the right and rave a little bit, right? The American Justice Revolution, Big Sib, Olphons, they're all going through the process in court through their due process. And yet they keep turning around and fighting them every step of the way. Putting wrong Supreme Court opinions in there and all this kind of stuff. And hoping they don't want to catch it. And this, that, here, and there. They have a in-box case to be made. And it was, by their process, was right on cue because they really nitpicked this to make sure they were doing it correctly. All right? Which makes me believe if they're doing this to the normal due process, right? What are they doing to the U.S. nationals, the state nationals? We call sovereign citizens. Well, I don't, there's no we in this. Y'all call sovereign citizens, right? Well, and then you hear these people going to jail and all that kind of stuff. Well, in the regular due process, they're still not doing everything correctly. The system itself is corrupt. And then you expect these criminals to behave better when you're U.S. national? No. So, and I have to say, people, no matter which direction you operate in, if it was actually, we had real good people in these offices, we wouldn't have the problems we have today. Whether you do the regular due process of the 1983 lawsuits and all that, or whether you do it to U.S. national because they got code, statutes, rules, and regulations on file that you can do these things, right? When I go in there and challenge the jurisdiction of the courts, I read the cases. There's several cases. It's clearly established that when you challenge jurisdiction of the courts, they must tell you. But you get YouTube on here and attorneys saying, well, they just have it. They just have it. They just have it. And then everybody calls them sovereign citizens. No, the sovereign citizens are the courts. They're the ones breaking the laws. It's clearly established when I challenge jurisdiction of courts, you're supposed to tell me. Period, judges. Getting fired up. Oh, that aggravates me. Sorry about that, y'all. but it's in case law. And it's a due process right we can stand on. And they're the ones breaking the law. Every freaking judge, magistrates out there are doing it. Whether you're in the right due process, whether you are U.S. national, whether you are citizen national, whatever you want to call this corrupt crap, you have the right to challenge jurisdiction of courts, and they must tell you. They must. It's not complicated. All right, I've got fired up. It just irks me that they're calling all these people all kinds of names out there, and they're violating their own rules and causing harm by way of trespass upon the people, the men and women, and persons. All right? This whole bar union between the judges and all the attorneys, you know, made themselves sovereign citizens, made the cops sovereign citizens to protect the sovereign citizens from harm. So you got the security guards for all these people. Then your sheriff, when you challenge jurisdiction of the courts and you don't tell you, and when it says particularly that he must tell you, that deputy in the courtroom's going, oh, I don't know. Come on, sheriffs, wake up. How many citizens have to go innocently in jail? All right. I gotta breathe. All right, well, I'm gonna... If you see this video, it's because I gone ahead and said the heck with it and sent it out, okay? I'll have to sit and think about whether I'm gonna keep it on here because of my rant and rave. But people, quit listening to these morons that you call authorities without researching the laws itself. Randy Kelton's suing the state of Texas judges for a reason. You know, all these people that's actually started studying and quit banking on these other people found out how system is actually corrupt. And then you guys, you know, some people go out there, well, this. Okay. Yep. Again, I apologize for my rant and rave. This is Diesel We the People News. Till next time, bye y'all.